In the double circulation, there is a pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. 2 times the blood is flowing through the heart, means it is double circulation is there. What is double circulation? See, in that 2 times means pulmonary circulation and another one is there systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation, in that deoxygenated blood is there. That deoxygenated blood from the different part of our body, it will come to the vena cava, and from vena cava to the right atrium, from right atrium to the right ventricle, from right ventricle it goes to the pulmonary arteries, then to the lungs, as I told here. So, deoxygenated blood is there from vena cava to the different part of our body to the vena cava, from that right atrium, right ventricle, pulmonary artery, then to the lungs. And so, this is nothing but it is called as a pulmonary circulation. And systemic circulation is there. Systemic means what? Now through the lungs. It takes the oxygen, and that oxygen rich blood is there come to the left atrium through the pulmonary veins, and then it will enter into the left ventricle, and then through the aorta it goes to the different part of our body. That is nothing but systemic circulation. So, this is called as a double circulation. Double circulation means pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. In the pulmonary circulation, the blood which circulating deoxygenated blood from the different part of our body to the lungs, and systemic circulation from lungs oxygen rich blood, it goes to the from heart to the different part of our body. That is the systemic circulation. That is called as a double circulation. So, the pressure of the blood inside the artery during a ventricular systole, that is a contraction, is called as a systolic pressure. So, here is the blood pressure, as I told, through the ventricle when blood will come, pressure by pressure on the arteries, it is nothing but it is called as a blood pressure, and there is the ventricles as a here, they are thicker wall, and also the arteries are there, walls are there, they are thicker than the veins. So, here the pressure of the blood inside the artery during a ventricular systole is called as a ventricular systole is nothing but the during the contraction of the ventricle, that is called as a here systolic pressure, and here in artery during a ventricular diastole, that time it is called as a diastolic pressure. When they are contracting, that time the pressure is there, it is more on the arteries, and that time it is called as a here that is a systolic pressure, and when they are relaxing, that time it is called as a diastolic pressure. And as you know, the normal systolic is there, it is about the systolic pressure is there, it is about the 120 mmHg, and diastolic pressure is there, that is 80 mmHg is there. So, systolic means by the ventricles when contracting, when contraction of both ventricles are there, the pressure of the blood on the arteries is there, that is a systolic pressure, it is about a 120 mmHg is there about, and here diastolic means when they are relaxing, the that pressure is there of the blood, that is called as a here diastolic pressure, and it is about the 80 mmHg. Now, as you know, there are the different types of blood vessels. So, blood vessels like here you are observing arteries are there, veins are there. As I told, arteries, what are arteries? If you are seeing arteries are there like through the aorta, again there are the different branches will come, and there is a formation of arteries. So, these arteries are there, what you are observing showing a arrow mark outside means they are taking away the blood from heart to the different part of our body. So, arteries are there, they take here away from the heart, blood is there, they will taking away from our heart to the different part of our body. So, arteries are there, arteries, veins are the blood vessels are there, and blood capillaries are there, we are observing here. So, blood vessels in that arteries, veins and blood vessels. Arteries are the vessels which carry blood away from the heart to the different organ of the body, since the blood emerges from the heart under a high pressure. So, as I told, arteries have because blood emerges out from the heart to the different part of our body, that time it has a high pressure. So, arteries are there, they are made up of a thick wall, and elastic are there, thick and elastic walls are there for the arteries. Veins collect the blood, as you are observing here, veins are there, they are collecting blood to the from the different part of our body. Veins bringing the blood from the different part of our body to the heart. So veins are collecting the blood from different organ back to the heart. They do not need the thick wall, they have a thin walls are there. So then blood is no longer under the pressure. There is not more pressure is there of the blood when veins are bringing the blood. So they are made up of a thin wall. Instead the walls are there that ensure the blood flows only in one direction. So they have a walls are present. They are not a thick wall, they are thin walled, but that veins have a here there is a walls are present that ensure the backflow of the blood. Blood is there timely properly ensure the blood flows in only in a one direction. Backflow of the blood is there. It is not taking place here. Blood is necessary to enter in our body timely properly. So there are the walls are present in the veins, and so that ensures that here blood flows through the here blood vessels properly. Blood through that flows in a one direction only. Backflow, the direction of the blood is there. Again it is going back. It is not taking place because walls are present in that veins. On reaching an organ tissue, the artery divides into a smaller vessels to bring the blood in a contact with all the individual cells. When blood is reaching to the all the tissues, organ and tissues, that time that arteries are divided into the smaller and smaller parts that are called as blood capillaries. So smaller and smaller vessels to bring the blood in contact with all individual cells, as I told you, drawn cells. So up till the small, as you learned about the animal cell, up till that cell blood want to reach, and so that arteries are dividing into the smaller and smaller vessels that are called as the capillaries, where they give the oxygen rich blood. So to bring blood in contact with all the individual cells, the smallest vessels have the wall which are one cells. Very small vessels are there, as you know. Cells are there, we are observing that one in the microscope. In that again that vessels are there, or here arteries dividing into the smaller and smaller capillaries. That blood capillaries are there. They are made up of only the single wall, single cells are there. By that one cell thick are there. The blood capillaries are there. They are made up of only one cell thick and are called as capillaries. Exchange of a material between the blood and surrounding cell takes place across the thin wall. So here there is in the cell there is an exchange of the material is there. It is taking place in that here with the help of the here blood capillaries are there. So that blood capillaries are there. They are only one cell made up of here. They are nothing but made up of only one cell thicker regions are there, and in between that there is exchange of the materials are there. It is taking place. The capillaries then join together to form the vein, and that capillaries where they give the oxygen and takes the carbon dioxide, that time they are joining again together, and it will form the veins that convey blood away from the organ tissue. Means here arteries are there, that arteries are there, they are the thick walled and that are moving, that are dividing to form the blood capillaries, and these blood capillaries are there. They are made up of one cell thick, and there is exchange of the material taking place, and they are when giving oxygen and taking the carbon dioxide, cells takes across the thin wall. The capillaries, that small capillaries, again they are joining each other, and then they will form here as a veins, and these veins are there. These veins here, they are nothing but opening here as a you are observing here in this diagrammatic representation. So here you are observing lung capillaries are there. In the lung, as you are observing, pulmonary veins are there bringing the blood to the lungs here, which are oxygen rich blood is there, and that oxygen rich blood come from the lungs. Then it is moving through the heart from the left side of the body, which is oxygen rich blood. From the aorta it goes to the capillary of the body organ of a part of the lungs. So different part of our body get the oxygen rich blood. There it takes the carbon dioxide from the different cells, tissue, organs, and then through the vena cava it again enter into the heart, and through the heart here from the ventricle it again enter into the pulmonary artery to the lungs. So, these are the lung, this is the heart, these are the different parts of our body. So, here if you are observing from the lungs oxygen rich blood, it will enter into the here through the veins to the left side of our body. From left side of our body, it will enter into the it goes to the from the ventricle, and then from the aorta it goes to the different part of our body to the cells of our body, and then from that it will take the carbon dioxide, then it goes to the from vena cava to the pulmonary artery to the lungs. So, this is the transportation in the human being. So, next one is there, that is maintenance by platelets. What happens if the system of the tube develops a leak? So, what will happen? So, in that you are think about the situation when we are injured and start bleeding. So, there are the platelets are there. If as you know you are falling down, you are going to hurt somewhere. So, sometimes blood will come out, oozes out, but after some time it will stop because there are the platelets are there. They will come on that blood like a network, and so there is a clotting of the blood is there, it is taking place. Here in this when we injured start bleeding, naturally the loss of blood from the system has to be minimized. So, there is a loss of blood is there, it is taking place, and then in addition leakage would be a loss of a pressure which would reduce the efficiency of the pumping system. To avoid this, the blood has a platelets. So, there is immediately there is a blood, as I told, platelets are there. That pressure is there in that system, again disturbances will occur. To avoid that, there is the platelets are present, and these platelets are there which circulate around the body and plug. Means I told that the platelets are there when any part of our body is there, damaging or hurt is there. In that area, that platelets are there, come like a network like structure around the body and plug the leakages are there in that area, it will come, and so blood is there, it will not come out, leak by helping to clot the blood at the point of a injury, where injury taken place in that time. Here in that area there is blood clotting is there, it is taking place with the help of the platelets. Now, lymph. So, there is a lymphatic system. Lymphatic system means it is a divide of nothing but it is a blood, but in that red blood cells and some proteins are there, they are absent. So, all white blood cells are there, plasma is there, all it is a present, but it is a divide of or in that only there is a absence of red blood cells and some proteins. There is another type of a fluid as involved in a transportation, and that is called as a lymphatic system. So, this is called lymph or tissue fluid, and in that lymphatic system there is a lymph is flowing, or also it is called as a tissue fluid. Through the pores present in the wall of the capillaries, some amount of plasma, proteins, blood cells escape into the intracellular spaces. So, as I told, red blood cells are absent, but some amount of proteins, cells and here plasmas are there, they will come into the intercellular spaces. So, if you are observing means if there is the two cells are there in these cells, here in between the intercellular spaces through the leakage of these blood capillaries. Blood capillaries, in that leakages are present. From that leakages there is the some proteins, platelets and plasmas are there, blood cells are there. It will escape from that blood capillaries. Some amount of plasma, proteins, blood cells escape into the intercellular spaces. So, like this I have drawn two cells, like this many cells are there, in between that some spaces are there, in between the cells there are the spaces, that space is called as intercellular spaces. Here in the tissue to form the tissue fluid or lymph, and that cells are there combined to form tissue, and that is called as a tissue fluid or lymph. And it is similar to the plasma of a blood, but colorless and contains a less protein. As I told, it is similar, but as how there is a blood is present like that only, but it is a colorless and also some proteins are there less in that. Lymph contains into a lymphatic capillaries. There are the again lymph is there, that lymphatic tissue is there, that lymph again it will drain, it will come into the lymphatic capillary. From the intercellular spaces we join to form a large lymph, and that forms a lymphatic capillaries. See, blood capillaries are different. Again there is a, as I told, lymphatic system is there in our body, it is present. So here these formed in between the intercellular spaces, the lymph is there, it will move and it will enter into the lymphatic capillaries. Then these lymphatic capillaries from the intercellular process we join to form the lymph vessels. That lymphatic capillaries again joining to form the lymph vessels that finally open into the large veins, and then they are opening to the large veins. Then lymph carried the digest and absorbed fat from the intestine and drains the excess of a fluid from extracellular space back to the blood. They are carrying carries the digested and absorbed fat from the intestine. So lymphatic systems are there. Lymph is there, lymph tissue. It will carry the digested and absorbed the fat from the intestine and drains that one excess fluid from the extracellular spaces back to the blood. So this is about the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system has a number of WBCs are more, so immune system is there, or fight against the germs, that stamina is there. It gives with the help of a lymphatic system because it has a white blood cells are there more in number. So there is a it will fight against the germs, or immunity power is there, it is increasing here. So this is about the lymphatic system and transportation in human being. So the next part we are going to learn in the next session, that is the transportation in plants. Thank you.